All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 72. So no substantial updates on this. Still just waiting for the October 6th hearing. In terms of new videos, released a new video yesterday night. And today, I did not work on any videos, but I worked on business filings. So I filed some annual returns for my business, did some paperwork and stuff, and also finished up the final touches on the year end for taxes. No work on the world domination plans today. Yeah, and that's it for updates today. So today we will continue work on the terminal block mining simulation game. YOY says, "Hey, how are you? Not too bad. How are you doing?" Hello there, I'm sitting here and working with Spring Boot. Any recommendation? I use Spring Boot in my project, and I find it very confusing. It does a lot of important things that are useful, which is why I use it. But there's like sometimes when I'm reading documentation for Spring to like try and figure out like how to use stuff properly. It seems like it's written by like an insane person or something. It just seems so. I don't know. I can't really get into the mindset of the design and like the naming of. I don't know. Some of the trying to understand the intention and purpose behind the classes in Spring Boot just seems like word salad. Just I guess one big recommendation I find is with all the Spring packages is make sure you're working on either the latest versions of the packages, and also that you're working with compatible versions, because I find very often, you'll get some weird bug, and the bug is because like a dependency or something has the wrong version or a different version, or and also if things are in the same like group ID or whatever, then you should make sure that they are all part of the same version. Since you have a business, set up try internal pricing. Since you have a business, set up try internal pricing. I'm not sure what that means. Savambia. Are you from Quebec? Do I have to learn Spring and then Boot, or is it okay to jump into Spring Boot? To be honest, I actually, if you asked me to like describe the difference between Spring and Spring Boot, I can't do it. I don't know the answer. I've never. I think it's I think that there's a whole bunch of different stuff. There's like Spring Starter Web, which is used for like web applications, and then there's Spring Boot, which I think is for like standalone applications. I think it's for like applications. There's some stuff in there for like applications that have a start on their own, like things that run as like a background job or something. Then I guess there's just like Spring itself, which I use it. I think it's just in the Spring package. It's for like parameterizing database queries and stuff. There's some like database abstraction stuff in there. Learn KTOR instead. Is that a Java thing? I'm not even familiar with that. Never heard of it. Internal transfer pricing. I don't know what that means in this context. Is that a breadstick? Are you maybe you're from France, where they have baguettes? Thanks. Yeah, I guess I don't know if my answer is that helpful, but I know it's if you feel confused about it, just know that you're not alone. KTOR is Kotlin Spring, essentially. Okay. Yeah, the biggest issues I've ever had with Spring are almost always because I guess another thing you can do is if you're using Maven, I know a command I use sometimes is if you just do like, I can't remember, you'll just Google this, but to find the right syntax, but if you type in just Maven space dependency : tree, I think that might be the command, something like that. And then if you do that, that'll show you a tree of like all the like the hierarchy of all the packages and stuff. And if you really want, if you have like some kind of really weird dependency problem with I don't know, there was I've had I remember I had the worst issue getting logging to work correctly, because I think it might be in Spring. That's I think Spring included like commons logging or something, and then I forget. It's just so it's one of those things that's so complicated to like. First to debug anything, you need logging. To get logging working, I think it was Spring that was conflicting with this. It was so complicated because one of these packages I was including that I needed, I think it was Spring or Spring Boot or something. It depended on commons logging, and then there was some of these packages are like a logging interface, and some of them are a logging implementation. So you got to learn the difference between those, and then I think it was commons logging is included, but you had to like add a rule to uninclude it or something, and then so it was included in a dependency. It was included transitively, so you had to like uninclude it somehow, and then add your logging and explicitly enable it and stuff. And well, you can check my well, let me actually just go ahead and look at it. Oh, I'm already in the, no, not 2025 06/27. I do logging with SL4J. Yeah, there's so you can if you have some issues, you can kind of look at my thing and try to steal what I have. I have a multi-modules Maven project structure, so this was it. Yeah, there's some complicated history where you have to include Spring context just so you can exclude the commons logging to actually get logging to work. And that was one of these. This is one of these things that took me like a day or something to figure out. Yeah, I guess I'm using SL for J. I think it might have been, I think there might be like in your application you can use SL for J, but then like for some Spring Boot stuff, like I remember this might just be like a Tomcat thing or something. So I think it might have been trying to get the logging to work with Tomcat web server, and maybe this is even like an older version of it or something. But I remember to get all the logging to work fully, you need all this garbage. Yeah, SL for J API, and then like I just want to include a logging package. If you ask me to like I know what an API is different than an implementation, but why do I need JCL over SL for J? I don't remember. And commons logging, is that an API? I can't remember. It's all just about messing around with the right versions to try and get it to work, and then stuff like this, adding exclusions. But anyway, if you can find a configuration that works for you, then and this year version that's defined. Actually, is it defined in this file? Oh, it is here and here. Yeah, so those are, that way I can set the version in one place. Thanks for the valuable info. So I will not waste my day. Welcome to Java. Yeah, a decent approach is like, if you really, really are having difficulty, if you can find one example of a project that works, like you can just take my project, copy and paste it, and then like delete everything in it that you know isn't being used, and then just like trim it down to like a hello world application that includes whatever you want, whether it's, you know, your Spring Boot or whatever. Okay. Yeah, I guess, and you didn't mention a specific problem, but I find some of the biggest things are usually solved by just messing with the version numbers. I'm a C programmer, so I struggle with Spring Boot because there is too much magic. Yeah, I agree. There's yeah, actually there's a couple things I can say on that. One is I know Spring. Personally, I like, one of the reasons I like Java is because it's it's a strongly typed language, and there's like inherently in the language there's not a lot of magic. However, Spring, like with that means you have to do more work. And something that I kind of don't like, that's a pattern in Spring Boot, is they use a lot of annotations. So it's a kind of common paradigm to like cheat the strongly typed, like just add behaviors to stuff with annotations that like decorate classes. So like the Spring framework will take a class that, it seems like it's a pretty boring class, and then it wraps a class with a bunch of garbage, and it intercepts the calls, which makes it often a lot more work to figure out or even reason about, because you don't even know. You might write a method and you'll be like, why is my method not being called? And it's because your class is being wrapped in some other system and recompiled, and there's one of your dependencies wraps it in something, and it just makes it more complicated. So there's that. The other thing is, I think it's in Spring. I think Spring does this. There's a lot of there's a pattern of using XML files for everything, and let's see, do I have any of those? I think I got rid of resources. Yeah, so there's a recurring pattern of using to have the application context in this application context.xml file, and having like the .xml file include these other files and stuff. And I found it was always very difficult to figure out like what was necessary to have in the file, what file names were significant, because like is application context.xml, is that special? Where do you define that? And what like other files should you reference? Where should they be located? Is it relative? Is it absolute? And then like the syntax of the XML file, and just a whole bunch of issues and complexity with that. And eventually I learned that pretty much all of that, I think that's basically considered like an older way of doing things. And I found that it is possible to use a purely like class-based runtime approach, so you can completely get rid of those XML files. And where? Oh yeah, Bean Factory Post Processor. Yeah, I hate these stupid like beans and bean factories. Bean post processor configurer. Like what is it? It's just it sounds like it's something written by a completely insane person. These were the things I had to do to make it fully code based. So yeah, block manager. So basically, one of the ideas with Spring is it's supposed to like do all this magic for you and make it easier with that XML file. Yeah, so this class, if you want to look at my code as an example, this was, this is my equivalent of that application context.xml file. So that way this whole thing is fully in code. And because I'm kind of fighting the framework here, Yeah, I'm just returning like empty object for any of the members, but I just have to specify them here. And then the application context post was it parameters? Yeah, there's a few like helper classes I needed. So this bean post processor. Yeah, and then so the actual objects that I want to instantiate, those are in here. And I think I had to do that. That ended up being necessary for something here. So if you want to copy my pattern, just look at these, like that class I just showed you in this one, and there's like, of course I need all these like configurer class that just like, you know, adds the bean processor and garbage, because it's I'm like hooking into stuff the framework is supposed to do, but this is one of those things I don't want it to automatically do. Go has structured logging now with slog. Find it a little complex, but it's nice. Not going to go stale or unmaintained. Yeah, I find the worst issue with trying to debug logging is like when something is being logged and you're like the logging, the kind of initial state is like the logs get swallowed and you can't find them. And that was I think that case I had with like Tomcat, and like I wanted to like debug why the logging wasn't working. So, and there was no way to see anything, so I couldn't. I was like adding there's like 5 different formats for like, you can set at runtime the logging level, which actually I think I'm doing. Yeah, I think that's actually another thing that was like incredibly stupid. Let's see, where is my logging at? Yeah, there's like 5 different ways to specify how the logging is set up, and the log levels and stuff, and the log formats, and so I would create like one of these like Spring, you know, what would it be called? It would application.properties file in the resources directory, and then I'd like set the log level and stuff, and then run it, and then it wouldn't work because it does not find. It just doesn't look at that location because I need to be up or down a directory, and it's just a nightmare where I'd like to do it in code. You know, it's probably in. Oh, here it is. Yeah, there's commons logging, there's log back, and then there's SL for J. And like one of them is an interface and some's an API, and I don't, that's another one of those things I don't totally know. But anyway, this was another one of those things that you would have to specify in like a stupid XML file. And like for this application, just to minimize dependencies, because when I'd like package the jar, it wouldn't be there and it would fail and stuff. So I was like, why don't I just do this all in code? It doesn't make sense to have this in an external file. So this, if you want to set logging up dynamically, this is an example of how to do that. Einstein fought the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. How do you think this has influenced contemporary physics? Also, good morning. Einstein, the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. I forget what the Copenhagen interpretation is. Is that was that like about the clockwork universe, like determinism of quantum events, or? I think Einstein said God does not play dice. I can't remember. I think he initially believed in determinism and didn't accept the uncertainty principle. You don't have application properties. I think it is a Spring Boot thing. I'm going to steal that. Yeah, I like all those. I would say if you're doing Java, step one is like, if when you set up your project for the first time, don't use as few of those stupid external config .properties.xml file. Like, why have an XML file when you can just do it in code? Doesn't make sense. I guess maybe one potential reason would be if you have it like deployed in production, so you could have the same piece of code that's deployed in you don't have to redeploy if you're like deploying like stages in production. You have to like the QA stage and production stage and development stage, and that way you can have a separate XML file for each development stage. I think that's probably why it's designed that way, but I would say if you're going to do that, have your own config file. So just like do it all in code manually like this, and then like if you want a config file, make a JSON file, and then specify you be in control of specifying where it is, and then you can change that per stage. All right, let's figure out how to do this change. Map area before, it's not even used. Whoops. All right. That looks all right. So I actually noticed a bug. Night Wolf says, "What are you up to?" I'm currently working on doing some migrations of a data structure in my terminal block mining game. It's a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore and other minerals. And I'm currently fixing a design flaw in one of the fundamental data structures of the game. All right, let's make sure that didn't break everything. So it randomly generates chunks? Yes, it's an infinite procedurally generated world. And you could also go down in the third dimension. You can go up. All right, that works. No crashes. Kind of looks like a game called Factorio. Yeah, a few people have mentioned that. I've never actually played Factorio. I would say at this point it's more of it's almost like a work in progress. Currently there's almost no real game mechanics. I've just been building the user interface for it and the just like kind of fundamental data structures and stuff. But once I get a few more systems into it, then I can start adding more functionality to more actual gameplay. Excellent. It looks like it works. No crashes. Wayment. As you're using VI, why not Vim? It is, I think VI is, let me check. I guess it goes to vim.basic. Which is itself executable. Four concurrent viewers. Wow, that's a record low. Actually, what it says over there, 12 concurrent viewers, but 4 over there. Either way, that's low. If you're watching, you're one of the dedicated few. Congratulations, you can feel special. The dominant. Robert, how close are you to having 20 billion? It's only 12 billion. I think I've raised to maybe I'd like to actually have like a running tally. It's probably at least like $1,500 over the course of the 72 days. So it got to be about at least that. Galactic Pest says, hello, Robert. How's it going? Yeah, you got to start somewhere. I think the first billion is always the hardest. And then once you get going with that, then it's clear sailing. I remember your live stream experiments, streaming till I raise 2 to the X. Have you thought about trying a stream where you just go on X and talk about whatever's in the news X.com, the platform. It has never occurred to me to stream on X. I almost think I'm shadow banned on there or something. My posts don't seem to ever get any traction, and my followers will go up a bit. It seems like, I don't know. I think I was shadow banned before Elon Musk took over or something, and then when he took over, I started. I think they took off a lot of the bans, but then I think they brought them back. Just looking at X, like it is. Oh, okay. Oh, so live stream, like going on Twitter and like just talking about what's on Twitter, or I still call it Twitter. X. That's such a terrible name. X. Yeah, I could. There's always also have interesting takes on various subjects, current events. I watched that way longer than this. Yeah, maybe. I don't. It's the coding is kind of boring for most. Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised that anyone watches it at all. But there's a cost benefit analysis. Like if it made insane amounts of money, maybe. But then the thing is like you can always you can just express it as like a complementary relationship of like there's like interesting content that gets lots of viewers, and it's like scandalous. It's it's people like to argue about it, and it's the stuff that gets attention. But then the per viewer monetization is lower, but also like the longevity of it is lower, and there's also like increased brand risk and stuff. Like there's stuff I see. I don't know what your X feed is like, but like sometimes on X.com I see stuff that is like extremely inappropriate and would be like an instant ban for something like YouTube, and it kind of just comes up with no warning, and I don't know if I'd be comfortable streaming what's on X. And it's weird too, because like I constantly get things. It'll like I'll be clicking through and someone posts something, and it's like it'll say like, warning, this is extremely this is extremely graphic content, and I'll click on it, and just like it's a picture of Justin Trudeau smiling, and people do that as like a they're like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like Donald Trump, so they like flag it, or whatever their most hated politician is, they'll flag it as like inappropriate content, so then it gets this filter, but then like right below it I'll see things that are like, it's like literal like hardcore nudity and like really crazy stuff, and there's no filter on it at all. It has it's just like right there with no actually last week, I don't know, something switched in their algorithm, and I was getting almost everything on Twitter was like cartel hit jobs and stuff like that, and like people getting murdered in broad daylight, and it's just like really horrific stuff. So I don't think I'll be streaming that anytime soon. You should make a proper business once you get enough capital. That's been the plan for the last 10 years. I think I already have a proper business. It's about as proper as it'll get. I filed my registrations and stuff today. It's a big news event in Canada or the world. You go live on YouTube streaming about it. I bet you get 1,000 viewers, if not more. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like I say, if it made a lot of money, but like I said, there's the cost-benefit analysis. Like if I get too far away from the core thing that I'm doing, then I'm kind of like, competing in a totally different market. Twitter is now just 4chan and Lively combined. Yeah. Thank you for the $5. And congratulations, YouTube has rewarded you with the rank of number 1. You now get the crown. What is the business? You did registry? My business. So well, I don't know how many of my videos you've seen, but in 2014 I started my business as a single person software consulting business, and my dream was to get a whole bunch of contracts set up, hire some people, build lots of software, hire some interns, scale the company up. But the stable projects just never came, and it was just like one unstable project after another. And as a kind of side thing to like advertise my business, I was like, oh well, I better start social media. And then I started doing just more and more of the social media, and that brings us to here, where most of the revenue now is coming from the social media stuff, and the contract work has dried up to nothing basically. All right, 319. Ooh, it's kind of getting warm in here tonight. All right. I almost never use X myself, but basically I watch common big streamers. They give their takes, stories. Yeah, that kind of is. I've noticed that it kind of seems to be how things are evolving. The news is getting harder to understand. Because there's so much propaganda and, corporate misinformation and crazy people. And, speaking of X, if you want my takes on X, like today, I saw, I was going on X a few times, and I saw these posts. They were getting so there's these floods in Texas, and I keep seeing these posts from it's a bunch of people saying, they're showing these radar maps, and they're like, oh man, the US is under attack. There's these weather modification events going on right now, and they're posting pictures of clouds and stuff like that, and seen today in Poland, and it's just it's a cloud, it's a weird looking cloud, but I think they're implying that there's some space lasers or something that are changing the clouds and causing weather. And a lot of these have there's huge amounts of engagement and discussion on this, and I look at it and I'm like, that's interesting, because I know there are, you can do cloud seeding and stuff, and And then again, like if there was some way, we are kind of in World War III right now. So if there was, like, even if it costs, like, a missile costs a really powerful missile costs $1 million. So if there's a $1 million way to somehow modify the weather with, like, send like a, what is it, silver nitrate or something? Send like how much does silver nitrate cost? Send like $100,000 worth of silver nitrate, drop it from space or something like that to cause, like, weather. Like, that could be a crazy new World War III thing or something. So I see this stuff, I'm like, is this a crazy person, or is there like actually a thing going on here? And it's just it's like endlessly confusing. And there's like people referencing talks by experts and stuff, but they don't. There's never any clear like at first like there's a few. I saw there was a link to someone posted a link in one of these discussions. They posted a link to someone talking to, like, a city council or something, someone testifying, and it was a guy who actually had a cloud seeding company, or he had some company that actually, had a plane that, like, sprays stuff or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, there's something, there was a real phenomena, but, like, are these radar maps indicative of anything? Is this, like, sensationalism? Is it crazy people? So anyway, my point is, like, it is getting more difficult to understand the news, especially with AI and stuff like that. So I guess maybe there is an occupation now, like, for a full-time person that just, like, interprets the news and sifts through the complete insanity that is the information space. Heading out for tonight. Good luck with the world domination. Thank you. What are you doing? I am currently working on developing my terminal-based video game, which you can see here. See, right now, you just gave an interesting take on complexity in the news. Now you're talking about Texas floods. So here we are talking about news. Yeah, I guess that's, I guess I could focus on, like, interpreting information, because I do see a lot of, like, wrong takes about stuff. And there's a ton of stuff, like, people, there's a lot of, like, crazy paranoid people who are, like, in my opinion, I think it's, like, it is correct to believe that, like, everything can spy on you now, because it is possible, but determining what's likely and, like, the extent of what is possible with technology, a lot of people get I think one is using, like, space lasers to start fires, because we have all these wildfires. But honestly, I think, like, if the government did want to start those fires, they could just hire like an arsonist. That would be easier. Like, you just give them $20 and a packet of matches. Because the cost of, like, launching and controlling a space laser covertly to, like, start fires, that's way too much work. Definitely be ads in the clouds if they had that much control. Big FedEx clouds. Yeah, I think actually Russia was planning to make, like, an advertising satellite and put that in orbit for a while. And there were some people questioning whether we have any, like, that would be pretty amazing. That would get so much attention and so much free advertising if you, like, put a giant annoying ad, because then like, absolutely everyone would hate it, and then it would get so much news. It was, like, the single most popular thing in the news for, like, days, and then it would go to like the UN, and we'd argue about it and sue people. And I don't even know who's real and who's a bot on the internet. Yeah, I think that's yeah. I mean, maybe you're onto something. I forget who first suggested it, but just interpreting news, because I think a lot more people now do get more news from, like, they get news from people, and I mean that makes sense, because in, like, if you go to in the real world, you like, without technology, you get your news from people in your circle who you trust. So you just, like, you go hang out with people, and then if you vibe well with someone and you ask them, and they're like, oh yeah, the government's doing this or that now, you'll kind of, like, completely believe it, because they're, like, pre-filtered. But then you meet other people and you're like, oh, that person's crazy. They say stuff that's, verifiably wrong all the time. Personally, I like to get the news from journalists that I've enjoyed listening to over time, I build trust with, seem to have the same values and ethics as me. There are lots of quality journalists on Mastodon as well. Yeah, I think that's key. It's the person. So, like, my guess is that your loyalty there is, it's not to the brand. It's probably like I guess if they're on I don't know if they're on Mastodon, if it's like paid journalism, but like if they go between companies or they go between platforms or whatever, it's like it's about the individual human behind it, not necessarily whether it's like, CNN or Fox or whatever. See that video on how to detect LLM's rating, because it always uses the same type of prose. Something about triplets. Would that even be? I would assume, like, you could just feed that information into an LLM and say, like, generate some text that is undetectable, and don't include this pattern. Is there any news in your local town right now? Actually, I've been increasingly becoming aware of how news, it's getting harder and harder to find local news, and, like, I've actually been taking screenshots recently. Today, I just searched for, like, Kitchener news, and so that for the top, it's actually CTV News is the top link, and whenever I go there's a common pattern that there will be, like, the top thing will be like, it'll be like tangentially local news. So it'll be like something near Kitchener. So it'll be like something happened in Cambridge today. That's, like, not in Kitchener, but it's near. And then there'll be like one or two, local things, like police, or a stolen bike was reported to police, or something like that. And then immediately there's something like whatever the big headline is about, like, international news, or, like, Trump did this thing, and then I scroll down, and it's almost like they give you just a drip of local news, and then as quick as possible they're showing you, like, international news and, like, sensationalized stories. Like, there was a piece of ball lightning that was found. Someone got a video of ball lightning in BC, and that has nothing to do with Kitchener. It's not local news. I mean, it's very interesting, and I want to watch that video. And there's a whole bunch of just, like, viral videos about, like, some cooking thing and stuff that is, none of it was related to local news. And if you just do a question like, how much local news about Kitchener is there on this page, there's almost nothing. There's maybe like one piece of information about, police reported this thing or something. So it makes you wonder, like, what is going on here? It's kind of hard to find that information out. You would think there'd be something to, like, if you wanted to, if you just said, okay, we've got a page to dedicate to local news, and we're not going to put images of Trump on there, like what surely they can find something, even if they can find old stuff, like what about upcoming events or something. LM also used lots of bullet points. A lot of new people, must be from new video. Yeah, a few new. I think there's I think it continuously pulls in new people. I think there's like a quota of like 2 or 3 new people here at all times. I assume you can, most of those indications of LLMs, you can just ask it to like not include those. What do you mean world domination? Oh yeah, I forgot I can direct everyone to that video. Yeah, it's actually my most recent video. I explain in detail my full world domination plans. Mastodon is a decentralized Twitter alternative using the activity pump protocol. Yeah, I've actually never really even tried Mastodon. I think Blue Sky uses like the same protocol, doesn't it? Or like it's interchange. It is, I think, can somehow interface with it, or it's meant to be the same kind of federated concept. Breaking news: this year's maple syrup is extra smoky and delicious. Yeah, they could have that. I mean, there's tons of like local events and stuff around here. Like if you made a point to say like only Kitchener news, you could find something. But have you heard of blockchain concept used for anything side crypto? There's a lot of hype about it being for other stuff. I think technically, like source control, like Git, is literally a blockchain. And I think technically, like blockchain should be called more like a block tree, or like a hash tree or something. But I think I was talking to someone who like did a bunch of blockchain work, and they were saying that when they like test out new blockchain algorithms and stuff like that, Git was actually one of the things that they used for testing it. Blockchain is used a lot in IoT. Interesting. I have yet to come across a use in IoT, but then I guess I haven't really I haven't necessarily done that much IoT, and especially not since the blockchain got super popular. Read a paper on using it for electronic health records. Yeah, I think it could make sense for like chain of custody type stuff, like if you want to, or like property ownerships and stuff like that, if you want to know an ownership history. When you start doing conditioning and training missions for the new settlement in the extreme north. Not at the moment. I think I'll work on the fundraising first. Blue Sky is also federated but centralized, so it's not my preference. Yeah, I know it. Blue Sky has the all of the things you can follow are like at Blue Sky to whatever. So I assume that you can. Like, can you, is there any interoperation between Blue Sky and Mastodon? Like, can you follow someone on Mastodon from Blue Sky, or vice versa? US EHR gets frequently hacked and no one cares about anything. EHR is in electronic health records. Yeah, that's kind of concerning, the fact that we're just getting like everything gets hacked and leaked all the time, and we're just getting complacent about that. It'd be really cool if you did a detailed short on all the common certificates, root 509. Honestly, I'm not an authoritative. I'm not super confident in speaking about that subject. Yes, Blue Sky and Mastodon can connect using Bridgefed. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. I don't really use Blue Sky much. Okay, I was testing functionality. Blue Sky uses AT instead of ActivityPub. Mastodon has more cyberpunk e-girls. Frankly, that's more important than scalability. That's good. I guess I'll have to check out Mastodon more. Now use the money to buy. I can't buy that. Bob's a war criminal. That's not very nice. This is that's not an appropriate chat. You gotta behave yourself. Orthodox NPC. I have no idea what that means. Sorry, sir, I may be drunk. I forgive you as long as you improve your conduct and be a model citizen for all the all the little kids that are watching. This is a family-friendly world domination stream. It's also, I mean, you can't dominate the world when you're hopped up on all sorts of distractions like that. I make a new batch of yogurt on Saturday nights. Interesting. I just buy my yogurt. The intrusive thought, prison is broken, my good sir. You're free to go. All right, that did not crash, so we can commit that. Do you know Voices of the Void? I'm not sure. Is that a band or something? I'm poor. I cannot donate. That's okay. You can just hang out and enjoy the vibes. Have you noticed that instead of wearing the black turtleneck from Steve Jobs, now the tech YouTubers wear the leather jacket with the white collar strap that hangs out unbuttoned? I haven't noticed that. I guess the leather jacket with the collar strap. I don't know. Is that what Jensen wears? I need to get up. At least I'm not collapsing from low iron anymore. Alcohol is my savior. You can also drink water and eat healthy. You eat carrots and vitamins. Ginseng is the new Steve. He's bigger than Steve now. Both Elon Musk and Nvidia CEO wear it. You love to be drunk. It's not good for your health. Let's test that a bit better. Don't remember Elon wearing a leather jacket? Yeah, I can visual. I haven't really noticed, but I can visualize Jensen wearing one. I can't really visualize Elon with one, but I don't know. I'm sure he's worn them on occasion. I like to quit drinking for a few years. You could. If you're addicted, you could find, for me, I prefer to get addicted to things that are productive, like coding block mining games or doing productive work. Once you get into it, working can be addictive. And then also you get a big pile of money. And it's healthy. I wobbled every which way, but I've never felt better. Ever fix your laptop fan? Yes. I fixed both of them, so both of them were failing around the same time. And actually, it's been pretty stable. The replacement for the last 72 days, every single day, it's on for a couple hours. And that old laptop is still kicking. It's kind of amazing because it's actually faster and it works better than my brand new laptop, or because laptop that I bought during the pandemic. And the newer one, I got a replacement fan. For that, it's almost unbelievable for the ThinkPad fan. I ordered a fan 4 times and took like 4 months to get all of them. So I ordered one. I can't remember if that was when it was canceled or not. I think anyway, the first one I actually got, it was supposed to be new, but it was actually used, and it had one of the fins on it was broken off. So I had to I put a bunch of Scotch tape on the motherboard to try and tape the thermal thing to the, what's supposed to be part of the actual fan assembly. And I had to clean all the used thermal paste off it. Then I tried to order another replacement. And I think there was the next 2. I ordered them. They don't do anything they don't ship for a week. They don't give me any information for a week. Then they say order canceled because we don't have one. And then I ordered a new one. Another one from a different vendor that was supposed to also be brand new, and it was also used. So I just kept that one, and it's working pretty good for now. Definitely got to build good cycles. Can't just get rid of the bad ones. If that's what you want, of course. Yeah, that's key. You have to have the interest in doing something different. Build up the better habits over time. What do you do for a living? Currently, YouTube is actually the primary source of my income at the moment. Historically, I've been doing a one-person software consulting business, and the contracting work has been there's been lots of issues with that, and it's over the last 10 years it's kind of slowly died to nothing. And for full details, you can see many of the videos on my channel about consulting. Search for consulting, the how to become a 37-year-old broke loser. That's the overview video of the last 10 years in excruciating detail. I think this is my first time being more drunk than like a martini. Pulled your first all-nighter. Are you against underage drinking if parents are monitoring and they're responsible and they end up just chilling? Yeah, I think if you're I think if you're have a glass of wine with your parents or something, that's totally, if you're going to imbibe some of that stuff, it'd be better to be around your parents. So assuming based on that question, you must be quite young. Okay, that works. Questions that I dislike shall not be answered. Okay, I didn't exactly ask you about your age, but I'm just saying, should I go outside and see who was left out there? I don't know what that means. Do I go outside and see what's left out there? Are there reasonably priced places in Canada where you can rent a cabin in the wilderness? I don't know. Like it's, I think there'd probably be a different question. Is like if you're going on a vacation, if you want like a really nice, like a luxury vacation cabin, I'm sure there's places like that you can rent. In terms of like just a cheap kind of not necessarily off grid, but like low cost remote cabin. I don't think anyone rents them. I think people probably just like they would just buy the land and build like a shack or something and just go to the forest and do a Minecraft. That's a good idea. Made a sweet bash script that sets up Unix domain sockets and then strips an empty device across them, stripes, and launches a VM recipe and only updates back to cold storage when I specify. Two Unix domain sockets and strips an MD device. Interesting. I don't even know. I've never used Unix domain sockets very much, and I don't know what an MD device is. I'm gonna go suffer. I hurt my feet. Gotta be careful. What music do I listen to? It depends. I listen to random funk music sometimes electronic remixes and stuff. A lot of the stuff that comes up recommended on YouTube. Vaporwave remixes, slowed reverb remixes and stuff. Software read. Usually set them up with MD ADM. A future favorite Linux command. Interesting. Okay, so I guess you're setting up like a what we call like a state. Oh, it was like a well, I guess I don't know why you'd necessarily. What would be the advantage of using the two Unix domain sockets? What would be the advantage of the RAID setup as opposed to just like using flat files. Usually I listen to XU rock. Anything from 80s and 90s. AC/DC, yeah, I listened to them back in the day. But I remember on the bus ride to school every morning, the bus driver would always play AC/DC. Right, that works. Interesting. I've never heard of any of those artists or bands. The advantages, I can span multiple NUMA nodes, and even though there's a big penalty across the NUMA nodes, still faster than NVMe. Saves a bit of NVMe life. NUMA nodes, I'm not familiar with that term. Then if I get into a problem with resetting new software, I just run my script config again, get a brand new virtual environment. Interesting. I guess I I don't have a use case for that, but for like, I guess I haven't really done much virtual machine stuff in a while, but I have used virtual machines can be pretty useful for just like throwaway stuff, and also for reproducibility. All my band-aids are upstairs. Bob the war criminal, you're kind of spamming the chat with irrelevant stuff. So what is your controlled opposition in politics to be called, Robert? That's a good question. I probably need to set up some controlled opposition. The information space is complicated. I'm gonna have to get some counterintelligence going, and means it's a lot of world domination. It's a lot of work. I've been really enjoying working on projects where there's a KSM virtual machine letting me inherit a development environment. Everyone else works. Greatly simplifies debugging and stuff. Yeah, I've for my setup, I've kind of all the random programs and stuff that I run. I've taken the time to kind of refactor this like long hierarchy of scripts, so I can, if I need to like nuke my computer, I can completely reinstall it. I guess with all my blog and garbage, I have so much stuff. There's so much like random just projects and things, and it's like the blog setup software, and then I had some stuff for like processing logs from S3 and stuff for business, keeping track of business stuff. I know, did I say I'm insane too? I don't think you mentioned that you're insane, but if you are, that's hopefully you can keep your insanity to a minimum in the chat. All right, 442. I ended up not making branch first. That's unfortunate. Well, I guess I wouldn't know because I haven't ever had brat first before, but right, that might work. Never dominate the world by conquering the existing reality. To dominate, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Yeah, I think that's a decent approach. If I can successfully build a model in my block mining game, I can build a new metaverse and then convince everyone to use it and buy land in the metaverse. All right, still functions. That is good. What would Marx say about block mining simulation? Is it labor mining blocks in cyberspace? But what about what is it? What is the proletariat or the people who own the means of production? Yeah, I think there's a lot of big picture questions about the whole economy with AI now. Bourgeoisie. The AI, I think, really is going to disrupt stuff in a pretty big way. And honestly, I think we could kind of deal with it. But I think there's enough people who are like freaked out by AI that we may we may actually fall for like the regulatory capture trap, where we'll like listen to, Sam Altman and people like that and be like, oh no, we better make all these laws that say the only one who's allowed to use AI are these big tech companies. Because it'd be dangerous if people benefited from it. So we better make it illegal for citizens to benefit from AI. And then all human outputs ever will be tokenized and become property of Microsoft. Absolutely not far-fetched. They tried to make cryptography illegal when it was first developed. They could try to make arguments it's a weapon. Yeah, I mean, the cryptography thing is one discussion, but the AI, like the daily impact on people's life of cryptography, the average person can get through a day without cryptography, with cash and stuff like that, but AI is going to, I know what Microsoft or whatever, I've heard they're forcing developers to use AI, and I think like any of the criticisms that you make about AI now, I've come to the conclusion that probably the next like parabolic curve is going to come from the transcripts, like the transcript of an interaction with a large language model is going to be the input to the next like exponential curve of training, and that's going to. I mean, we don't have a lot of sample size in that, and I don't know how fast it'll converge. Whether like, you can take a team of developers of like 6 months of labels, or maybe you need like 20 years of labels of like a ChatGPT conversations about, just seeing like how to tune the model to get the best responses fastest. But once with that kind of learning is inputted in the system, it's going to be just insanely good. Like that may get us to the point where, we can actually replace a lot of workers, even for like coding jobs. But the other question is, I don't know what the energy consumption requirements will be. So it might even require that the model be so smart it needs like, it's really a question of like how much entropy and information is contained in those interactions. Can you get by with like a couple of weeks of training and 2 years of data of like real world labels, or do you need like 100 years of data? Whatever happened to that guy you work with who took everything very seriously and always wore a suit and didn't talk to anyone? That guy worked at NVIDIA. I never had face-to-face conversations with him. I think I remember hearing him talking a lot. I remember him like you get up and walk around and talk to some other people about some assembly language stuff. I don't know. I only did an internship at NVIDIA, but he was still there when I left. Getting through a day without cryptography couldn't be me. Yeah, I mean, it's used in trend like when you log into your bank and stuff, but the impact of AI, like, let's put it this way: if you extremely bad AI regulation would have a worse effect than extremely bad cryptography regulation. Like if cryptography was locked down, which it already kind of is, if it's like strong encryption beyond a certain number of bits. It's all under export control. And enforcing workers to code with AI to teach better coding. IDK much of a tech. I assume that's why they're doing it, and I assume they probably think like if you just take the like if you think about when you go to ChatGPT and ask like how many R's are there in strawberry, and then it says something, and you're like, nope, you're wrong, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, let me correct myself, and then you like you talk to it for a while to convince it to do something correct. You can take that transcript as just a set of tokens and then feed that into the next layer of training. So that's like, you could write a book about the process of teaching an LLM something, and then in the next version, that model can have that transcript. And I think that's where like the next iteration of learning is going to come from. Where we definitely agree is that bad AI regulation is an existential risk. Cryptography is already, I'm not 100% sure. I've never published any, I think it's above like 128 bits or something. It's controlled among any countries that have signed. There's some specific law where you're not allowed to export strong cryptography, and even in if you use like Oracle's JVM or something like that, you have to agree to the terms of service, and then in there's like things that say like you will not export this strong encryption to Iran or something. And I think part of that is not necessarily publishing it. I think it's kind of, I think if you look for it out there, you can find probably some examples of strong encryption code somewhere. But it's like I think occasionally, like if you do work on that stuff, someone will come after you. Like if you make some really good strong encryption software, I do think you will get someone will reach out to you and be like, hey, we're gonna have to ask you to like, I don't know, put this behind our terms of service or take it down, or made in compromising an internet root certificate. Wasn't there an example of a really weak root certificate somewhere? That was like controlled by, I think, didn't Russia have one or something? How might AI affect the Waymans? I'm interested where that meme. There's also like 5 people who always mention Waymans. I don't know if that's just from that one. People spontaneously pick that up from that. Actually, I think I heard something recently about people starting meme coins, and then they were like making a challenge of like try to like get other people, like try to popularize a meme for the sake of getting people to invest in a meme coin. So maybe is Waymans a new meme coin that people writing bots are trying to convince people to use? We're going to have to ask you to work for us. If you don't, you won't be able to work. We'll put it that way. I don't know, who is that said to? The owner of the root certificate? Or the owner of the strong encryption? Kazan Zada Vlogs says hi again. The new internet is crazy. You got like AI powered spam bots pumping cryptocurrency. Whoever discovers strong encryption of any technology the government wants to bury. I mean, it's even in like it's just in vanilla Java, so you can just do like message digest dot get algorithm AES 256, and I think that's technically covered. But at that point, it's kind of like silly because it's like anyone on the internet can download it. But I think if you get the if you get to like the official Java, the Oracle JVM, you have to like agree to their terms of service. And I think technically there's, even for like the Open JDK, you're supposed to. Honestly, I think it's kind of a gray area. I think like for the for like those standard library implementations, they just turn a blind eye to it. But who knows? Promise you, Waymond, no meme coin. I looked up that on all I could find was like a TikTok meme of someone of people just saying, wait a minute, like fast, and they're like, wait a minute, and that was the meme. And I only found several examples of it. What is this? This is writing software for a terminal-based video game. Let's see if it compiles. A command coin would be kind of fun. Maybe, but I have zero interest in making a cryptocurrency. So this is the game. You wander around an infinite, procedurally generated universe, and you get to mine blocks. They should invent a coin that makes me money. There have been some coins that supposedly give you lots of interest and stuff, but or they give you interest for owning it. But a lot of them they've just been rug pulls and stuff. It's like a bait to get you to invest in it. Too bad. Sure way to get 16 billion for world domination. 16, I only need 12. All right, I'm going to try to make sure all the functions take the new cuboid address. Java and Vim alert. Can I borrow 256 million? Maybe once I get the 12 billion. But I gotta get that first. New cuboid address, more like old cuboid address. This is the old one. Actually, at the end, I'm just going to rename it. I'm going to rename it back to just cuboid address. Spheroids are all the rage. Those are hard to represent though, in like a discrete, what do you call it? Like an integer coordinate space. $598. New cuboid address will always be known as new cuboid address. That's not correct. At the end, I plan to rename it back. Once every cuboid address is converted to a new cuboid address, then I'm going to delete the cuboid address class and then rename new cuboid address back to cuboid address. All right, that's all the functions. Your propaganda doesn't work on me. You'll always be known, at least in our hearts. I guess that sounds like nonsense to me. All right, there are no off by one errors that make it crash. like the time they tried to rename Fort Bragg. I'm not familiar with that. Once a name is set, it shall never be changed. That's not true in programming. In programming, you can change it hundreds of times. All right, that also works. You're distraught. Your worldview is forever altered. Yeah, things are, life is difficult sometimes. It's just the way it is. So that affects the above and below layer. So hopefully that is correct. That looks okay. So we almost got rid of the old data structure in this class. Where can I pre-order my commemorative rock of Axel Heiberg? I don't know. There's apparently a lot of petrified wood on Axel Heiberg. It's like famous for that. There might be some like there's probably a place where you can buy like fossil samples from Axel Heiberg. I think I drove the other chatty frogs away. Maybe. I don't know. Things are... that's not good. Things are lively and then they die down. How's that mop working out? I don't know what you mean by that. Mop? I changed too much this time. Bradley's mop? Oh, from yesterday? Alright, this works. It does not crash, which is good. So that shouldn't matter, I don't think, for the lower address. For the upper it will, but the difference should cancel out. So that one shouldn't matter. Let's see if that works. All right, no crashes. Excellent. Now I think that's what I had before, but it crashed. Wait, actually, no, I need that, I believe. All right. No more crashes. Excellent. What is this? This is development of my terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore and other minerals. And I'm currently trying to fix, for the last week or so, I've been working on some fixes and changes to a fundamental data structure in the game that has a design flaw, an off by one design flaw. It could be compared to Minecraft. If I get it running, if this doesn't crash, then I'll be able to illustrate. The main selling point at this juncture is it runs in the terminal. Nope. I broke everything. IDK, how I got to this, how I got subbed to this channel, but I have seen the stream for 72 days and finally had to see what's up. Yep, I'm working on this game. I'm also raising funds for World Domination. So if you check out my most recent video, I finally have, when people ask me, what are your World Domination plans? I finally have a video explaining my plans. So check that out. That just dropped yesterday. I see a chatter named Orthodox NPC. Is this somehow related to Orthodoxy? I have no idea. Orthodoxy is somehow related to religion, I think. I don't know anything about that. You'd have to ask him. That might fix the issue. All right, success. Does not crash. Yeah, you were asking about the game. This is the game as it currently is. So you can press the C key to craft. Here's a cave, so we can go down into the cave. Oh, look at that! There's some ore. Let's mine that ore over there. We're very rich. Are you planning on selling this game in the App Store? I don't have any plans to put it in any app stores. You can currently clone it on GitHub. There's a link in the description. There's a 30-day trial period where you can try it, but after that you have to pay at least $1 via memberships or super chats or whatever your favorite method is. YouTube is the App Store, if you think about it. Yeah, I guess that's technically true. Are you planning on adding any gotcha mechanics? Is that a type of, is that another game? Gotcha? I'm not familiar with that game, if it's a game. Hello, Mr. Robert, sir. Love your vids. Excellent. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I think there's lots of stuff I could add. Mainly, I need more. Right now, I'm just focused on like mechanisms. So there's a lot of design flaws and problems in the game, and I want to implement multiplayer. I think that's a pretty fundamental thing. Even with like basically having like almost no features in the game, I think that would make sense to get that working first in a robust way, and then slowly add more features over time. Basically gambling. Oh yeah, actually I was thinking about having a gambling feature, but it's just like I know some of the newest gambling games have a they're like they're transparent, that they'll say what the odds are. I was thinking about having a gambling thing where the odds are 0%, and you just like you click on it, and you with 100% of the time you lose everything. So the odds are like just 0. So you click on it, and then it just all your money evaporates, and that's it. People pay money to get characters, essentially. Cool to hear that you have plans to expand the game. Yeah, we'll see how far I get. It all depends on, part of that was just part of this live streaming series was just to see, like, can I get super chats, and how much interest can I generate in this concept? All right, I think I got. Oh, there's actually one there. Might be why that other thing failed. Go put your ore into a furnace, see if it comes out more refined. Yeah, there are. Once there's more like systems, once the game actually works better, then there's lots of room for more interesting systems like that. I'm more interested in the coding and what the heck is going on there. See, he keeps jumping in the text. It just appears previous coding. I forgot a comma after jumping and noticed it reads funny. I guess you're maybe confused about the interface a bit. So I'm just on the terminal here. So if I press Q, the program, so there's just the output. That's the residual output that's on the terminal. So right now I can, type any Linux command. I just did in the command prompt. So if I do clear, now I'm just back at the command prompt. And I just use Vim to go back into coding. So, and if I don't clear the screen, it probably looks almost like gibberish, but it's all just on the command line. All right, I think that was a major point of the conversion, to convert the map area. This is one of the classes that uses the cuboid address the most. So now that that's pretty much converted, I guess I had hoped that this would take a bit less time today, but there were quite a few things to change. And I guess next stream I will pick up where I left off. And hopefully there's not many more of these. Let's see. I don't know, there's a few. I'll have to check it out. How do you code? How do you code the layout? How do you code a smiley face for the character? So the smiley face is actually just a Unicode character. So let's see. So if I run the game. So one of the critical things is if you look up ANSI escape sequences, you can use ANSI escape sequences to move the cursor to an arbitrary position. So you can basically just you can consider the entire terminal just like an array of cells, and it's a bit complicated in that for Unicode characters. So these are actually all just emojis. So if I actually just like highlight this and copy it, to copy, and then I quit program, now just back in the terminal, I can do, I should run the echo command and then paste. It's just any kind of text, like any kind of weird Unicode character. And then the other thing is escape sequences. So you can do echo-E. And so now if I do an escape sequence, like \033 bracket 10H maybe we should do more than that. 30, 30. Yeah, so if I run this, this moves to 30, the position 30, 30, and then it writes out all that. So if I just want to simplify this, I only want to write that, and then I can do n to, yeah. So that makes it a bit more clean. So this escape sequence. So this is go into escape sequence mode, 033 bracket thingy. This is the parameters. So I forget if it's row column number 30, 30. And that's just part ends the sequence. So that's a cursor movement escape code, as opposed to the other kinds of escape codes you can do. And then it just prints out whatever text is here. And then this thing says go back to 0, 0, which is up here. So I run that, it goes down here to 30, 30, prints the happy face, and then jumps back up here and reprints the prompt. And so you can see a bit from that building block how you could actually build the UI. But otherwise, I think I'm going to call it a night. Made a bit more progress. It's been this whole migration is taking more time than I thought it would, but once it's done, then it'll solve a significant class of problems. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. Have a good night, guys, and I guess we'll be back tomorrow for day 73.